What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It's Thursday, October 31st. Happy Halloween, everyone, from all of us here at Wrestling Republic. I've got a sweet crew hanging out with me. We're going to break down AEW Dynamite. It's a Thursday. Let me send this one first and foremost out to the DMV, to my friend Shoddy. 1 year anniversary of Dude Love and Sting. I changed it up a little bit. I went Tony D this year. Less face paint. A lot less removing face paint. So did Shad. But he actually added face paint to the wardrobe this year. What's good, Shoddy?
Yes, sir. I did add some face paint. I'm not a my bad, I can put my ears up. I'm not a wrestler. Although Pikachu is a skilled fighter in his own realm, but I dressed up as Pikachu today. Big anime fan, big Pokemon fan, so thought it was fitting. AKA, I had to get something quickly in an hour after work to do this, so we're here.
We're back. We got new costumes. It's a new year. Happy 2024, everybody. But also, we can't go without sending this one out to Philadelphia, to our head of opinions, good friend of mine, Anthony Ricciardi, or is it someone else?
Could it be El Generico?
It's El Generico.
I had to go this.
Sam Zayn's in the building.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
Directly from Mexico, actually. I've had this for a while, for specifically for this show. But I don't know how they wrestle matches with this because it's already getting hot. So this should be fun the next 45 minutes.
I'm excited.
Let's get into it.
Let's get right into it. Absolutely. And let me get our topics up on the screen for everybody that's watching, because we discussed this often this week. And I had a great time discussing it because I thought one thing and one thing only: if Private Party doesn't win this, they can't really be from a place you need to be on a list to get to.
Right.
And they got the job done. I was fired up about it.
The party becomes a little bit less exclusive.
Yeah, it's
right?
a public party at that stage. And we're back to square one where we needed to be. I actually liked the sign of respect out at the Bucks, because I thought it was interesting. Earlier in the night, you see them sort of not really care about what's going on with the BCC. They're like, listen, we're the EVPs. We don't care. Whatever. They can do their own thing. Doesn't matter. Then you see the respect that they gave to Private Party. It's a lot to unpack in one moment, but I actually kind of appreciated it. I thought a lot of story was told and a lot of options were given for the future. At least that's the way I looked at it. And also the right team won in Private Party when it came to this one. Anthony, I'm going to go to you first. What were your thoughts on the match? And what were your thoughts on our new champs, as well as the Young Bucks sort of interactions in and out of the match?
I think it was the right move to have Private Party win. I'm glad that they didn't lose, that they're not dancing on their own. But it makes a lot of sense. It's a team that's from AEW's beginning days, and they deserved it. They deserved to finally get that recognition. The Bucks were pretty much, they had really no major competition for this thing. Like, this title reign was not much. They only defended the title, 2-3 times tops. And they've had it since April. So, as a whole, I think it makes sense to take the Bucks off TV. I also think that was the right move, because we all know that the takeover storyline that they did fell flat. It was a disaster. They had no stakes with it. It went nowhere, and you can see they're trying to retcon it with the Combat Club taking over. So you got to kind of take the Bucks off, because unless you're involving them in the story and saying they're behind it or they're part of it, it doesn't really work, because at some point they're going to either have to get involved, whether it's heel versus heel or babyface against heels. So you're going to have to do that. Taking them off TV, I think, was a smart move. They're probably going to bring them back as faces because they did the respect thing. They went the full Succession thing. We're shredding papers. I'm hoping that comes to something and it's not just, we think it's funny and we're going to do it. I'm hoping there's at least something to that story that gets revealed. But I thought the sign of respect was a nice move because there are people that view the Bucks as probably one of the greatest teams in AEW. So it was a nice sign of respect. The thing is, you have to book Private Party now and try to rebuild that tag division, which that's got to be their focus. It can't be hot potato win the belt to like the Outrunners or some other team. You got to really
let them have a run and
yes.
establish themselves even further. Yeah, I think you're spot on when it comes to that. Absolutely. I do also. I didn't realize the El Generico mask had so much upper lip coverage. It's gnarly because you can only see what's going on with the bottom of your jawline.
You know how hard it is to drink out of this with the mask
me on? It's freaking me out. We've got some funny comments.
I don't even have it tied in the back. I don't know how people do this.
We got the Soul Sessions with so Pikachu is Jacob Batu. Does that mean Soulsco is Ash Ketchum?
I believe that's a question for Sean.
I love you, my Pokemon owner. I love you, Ash Ketchum.
I'm gonna say this, by the way. This is something that's always fascinated me about Pokemon. So it's got to catch them all, right? I mean, that's been the whole thing. The whole thing.
Yeah.
His last name is Ketchum. They just thought the K would not throw us off. Like we wouldn't realize he's the GOAT all the way along. I don't know. It's an interesting story.
This sounds
just
like
say it, Clark. It's in his bloodline.
It's in his bloodline. Speaking of bloodlines,
this sounds like a revelation that they would have in the back of the van of the Scooby Mystery Machine.
Yeah, honestly, I was in the Mystery Machine when I found out about it. That's all I'm saying.
Although I feel like knowing Ash's personality, he would be more of a Cody Rhodes guy. That
he does seem like more of a Cody guy.
Yeah. So he
sticks by morality. Okay, either way, Private Party are our new AEW Tag Team Champions. They beat the EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. There's all this other stuff going on with the Blackpool Combat Club and what's going on there. Shad, I got to get your take on it because this is a long time coming for Private Party, and I think it's deserved. Private Party was one of those teams during the prime era of AEW's tag division that stood out, where you're like, man, these guys are young and they're talented, and this is going to be something. I want to get your thoughts on it last night, and how great is it to see them finally lift that gold?
It's about damn time, Clark. That is what I have to say in regards to it. It was a feel-good moment, and it's one of those things where you appreciate and love AEW if you start watching it from the beginning, because you get an opportunity to become fans of these wrestlers. We are, kind of brand new into the scope of it that we, haven't even seen in the WWE before. Maybe haven't seen in other wrestling promotions like an ROH or a TNA back in the day. They're a young team that really hit the road once they got into AEW and became fan favorites. They're a team that I really enjoyed from the beginning time frames, like Anthony was saying. That we see them, the two young guys. They got athletic abilities. They had a great theme song. They got the charisma, all of it down pat. And it's just one of those situations where it's like they've always kind of been in a holding pattern. We never seen them get that big opportunity, and them finally getting that big opportunity and it being now with the story told with the Bucks, I think it was really good. I think AEW did an excellent job with that. Like I said before, I love the idea that Private Party, in a sense, are the Young Bucks kryptonite. They're the ones that got their number more times than vice versa, right? They're the thorn on their side, and that adds a lot of legitimacy to Private Party as a team. They're fun and all that, but you got to take them as a serious threat for that reason. And I like the change of the character development that they've been giving them. It makes them seem more of a serious team in a sense, right? Everything is kind of gelling a little bit better, and you're seeing them kind of mature as a unit. So, like, I totally agree. I think this was a great call just in general, but it's also just a great call for the tag division. I feel like we see it on the other side on WWE. Like, it seems like wrestling promotions are hearing the fans out, and they're taking notice that the tag divisions have been relatively weak this year, and this is a good reset for the Bucks. I think, with the next topic we're going to get to coming up, with Moxley and them kind of being that force that's kind of taking control of the company, it's good for them to kind of get away. And we'll see what happens. They may come back as baby faces, but I do like that they did gave them the seal of approval, respect after the match too.
It is kind of wild when you think about it. Within a 1 week time span, we saw Motor City Machine Guns take the SmackDown tag titles. We saw the Hardys take the TNA tag titles. And now we saw Private Party take the AEW tag titles, all within the same week.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy from Friday to Wednesday.
How much the landscape has shifted. That is really interesting. I didn't think of it that way.
And the thing is this, I feel like it is a situation where it's good on all sides too. Like, I think now, I think Soul even had a comment with a bunch of matchups that he wants to, potentially see with them being champions. Like, that's cool to see. Like, I feel like it works better for them because I feel like AEW has more heel tag teams than they do babyface tag teams. So them having babyface tag team be the champs makes it a little bit more entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to our next subject because honestly, we could probably talk even further about that one, but I've got really something to say about this one. And that is, I was at All Out in 2023 when the main event was Moxley and Orange Cassidy, and people were disappointed about it. And it's one of the best matches I've ever seen. Match is outstanding. Match was unbelievably deserved when it comes to that card and everything we saw. I cannot wait to see them wrestle again. Under these pretenses, in this context, with where we're at storyline-wise, it's going to be a war no matter what. And Moxley's digging into stuff that he wasn't at that time. This is going to be interesting, and I'm excited about it. So we've got OC and Moxley. I want to get your thoughts, though, Shad, on this one. I mean, we still have the world title in the duffel bag. It's interesting, the connection between the two, too. You see the backpack when Orange Cassidy carries the title, and it's contextually much different than when John carries it in a duffel. And I find that fascinating as well. I got to get your thoughts on it.
I really enjoyed the opening promo from Orange Cassidy. I feel him just coming out and even telling us that he normally doesn't do this. This is kind of out of his character, but the situation at hand really deems it important for him to take on this fight, and him having that, that boost of purpose because he did take out one of his, no pun intended, best friends in Chuck Taylor. And Orange Cassidy, in a way, is a perfect hero in the situation, because when you look at superheroes and they're going against the bad guys, the big force of nature, they, off of a stature, look like they're going to be inferior, that they're not going to be able to handle and take them down. And OC just, not being the guy who's as gritty, got the competitive edge, I feel like it makes you really want to root for him because he does have that underdog personality. And, like I said, the purpose is the main thing, but he's also the face of AEW, and him kind of even mentioning that if there isn't an AEW, there isn't a lot of us. And that's a really, really deep statement when you kind of, peel the layers and kind of figure out like what he means by that, because they are its own promotion, a family, and a lot of these guys love AEW and they hold the flag for it. So it makes it more legitimate as OC going against the people that are trying to destroy AEW, him trying to keep AEW afloat. My only thing is, I wish the other people that were here to help him and support him were more believable. Like, I think Garcia is a believable threat, but when I see people like, no disrespect to Dark Order, I can't take them as serious no more. When I look at people like Top Flight, there are people that lose a lot. So I want to see some more people that are, come out the woodworks and be able to assemble the Avengers. But man, Moxley's absolutely killing it, bro.
It's so true.
He's on some next level stuff right now.
Absolutely. And we got an awesome comment over here on Instagram from 2002 Jason M, which is OC versus Moxley. Can't wait for this match again. I was there too at All Out 2023. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, man. Like, at the end of the day, no matter how we got here, we know these two can deliver against each other, and it's going to be entertaining. I'm excited about that as much as I'm excited about anything. Soul added that Moxley and OC are 1-1 in singles competition. OC is one of the few people that have pinned John Moxley. It's been a year and a half about now, maybe 2, where Moxley doesn't get pinned very often. And El Generico, aka Anthony, I got to ask you about that one too. Does OC strike once again and pull the upset, or what's your pick when it comes to this?
I think Moxley retains. I can't imagine they would take the belt off of him that quickly. I do like this side of Orange. That's always been my complaint when he was cartoonish with the taps. Like, I want a serious Orange when he's in the ring. And I love that he came out, he stopped the promo package that was airing, and he cut a promo that was serious. No entrance music, no exit music. It came off as genuine. And it's true that, if there was no AEW, a lot of these people would not be on TV. A lot of that talent would not be picked up by WWE, and maybe not even TNA. Like, there's truth to that. Almost like what ECW used to be called, the land of misfit toys. The talent that WWE didn't want, WCW didn't want. So there is truth to that, and I thought that was telling. I like that. I'm curious to see where they're going with this. I agree with Shad. With all due respect to the Dark Order, it's the job squad. It really is. I'm confused by the fact that, when the Bucks were trying to take over, the Elite was trying to take over, even though it had no stakes, you had a random cavalcade of talent that came to represent Team AEW, even though it was nobody really true. You don't see any of those people other than Darby getting involved in this, which you kind of go, this is a way bigger threat than the Bucks were. And you're not even defending the company. You're like, we're out. We were in Stadium Stampede. Darby pulled out a blowtorch. He's fine. He can handle this. That's kind of where we're at with this.
I understand, and I think that's totally a fair assessment when it comes to that situation. Okay, speaking of situations, let's talk about another situation entirely here. Let's talk about Progress Wrestling. Because obviously, if you're watching us on this show, we know you're a wrestling fan. This is one of the best tape libraries in the world. Oh, yeah. And they have new live and active shows with some of the best talent in the world. It's not just Progress either. It's Defy as well. Also, you're going to love this. Use code WATCHPROGRESS1. You're going to get 50% off that first month. That's half off. Cut it in half. Slice it right in half. Demand Progress Plus. Check it out. It's the home of Progress, Defy, TNT, many more promotions. Some of your all-time faves, best matches are on this platform. Not only that, some of your new faves, I assure you, if you're watching the current product, are also on this platform. That's Demand Progress Plus. And once again, for that half off first month, slice it in half. Watch Progress 1. Use that code, my friends. I assure you, you will enjoy thoroughly. Speaking of things that weren't thoroughly enjoyed, Anthony, what? Explain what we. Camille's supposed to be strong, and this was short. and not as sweet as it should have been. Oh, you're muted. Honestly,
it was horrible. But you of course you did.
No,
you
it wasn't me. It wasn't me. What I was going to say is like that was just probably karma because like the world's like, nah. Camille and Statlander deserve better.
It's crappy booking. Camille is somebody that held the NWA Women's title for a very long time. I don't remember the exact number of days. She's a credible threat. And to have her job out in like 6 minutes to Statlander, no offense to Statlander, I gotta be honest. I don't think Statlander is this great, phenomenal talent. I really don't. I see her. She'll have a match. She's not somebody you can build around. The Camille jobbing out like that, I thought was a bad move. I get it. You're trying to build Statlander up as a credible threat against Monet. Do I think she's beating Monet? No, I don't. To job Camille out on only her second match on AEW TV, maybe third. I don't watch Collision, so I'm not exactly sure, and I don't believe Generico does either. But to have her job out, that kind of hurts Camille's stock. For a lot of these fans that are not familiar with Camille, that maybe didn't watch NWA, she's a heavy that loses in 6 minutes. She's supposed to be the backup. She shouldn't be losing in 6 minutes. I mean, she could lose the match to Statlander, I get it, but not that quickly. It doesn't make any sense. So
the addition isn't additioning. It's like
the math's not adding up.
She's supposed to be the one that you're afraid of. She's the muscle. I get that Statlander is accomplished and an amazing performer in her own right.
Mm-hmm.
But man, this felt like we left too much out there. Like we left something like unturned. And I don't think it hurts Camille with hardcore fans. It hurts her with casual fans.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You spent all this time, you built promo packages, hyping up this match, showing Camille to have her lose in 6 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
Why would you do that?
It honestly, and I think that's the big issue for me as well, is that it's the fact the match didn't get a lot of time. And I thought yesterday's Dynamite was really strong Dynamite. Obviously, from what we talked about earlier to what we're going to talk about after this, there was a lot of big time moments that occurred towards it. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you could kind of gut it out, giving them like at least 12, maybe almost 15 minutes, to kind of have more of a match. Camille is your heavy. She's the bodyguard. She's supposed to be an imposing threat. Statlander is also a person with big stature. This should have been a horse fight, man. It should have been a big time match where they go the distance and it's a clash of the Titans type of situation, not something so abrupt and quickly where now they also put the Easter eggs with Mercedes yelling at her and whatnot. Are we breaking them up already? Like, I don't really understand. I feel like a lot of it is kind of being rushed and it's a little bit too fast of a pace with the storyline, and it doesn't favor someone who, like y'all said, she's got a couple matches. A couple of them are this is the second match in a row that, here's the thing, like the match with Aminata last week should have kind of been what her and Statlander should have been last night, right? That should have been.
But we're reversed with Camille.
But we're reversing. Yeah, she went to distance with Aminata, who I believe is phenomenal, but in a vacuum, she should be beating her quickly to establish her as, like y'all said, a big time dominant threat. And it doesn't make a lot of sense on that standpoint. And it, like y'all said, it doesn't really help her to the people that are not familiar with her and they're seeing her kind of come in, because you look at her, she's big, strong, looks like a threat, but you watch the match and you're like, oh, she lose her like snap of a finger.
No
Her
question.
nickname was the Brick House.
The Brick House, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
800 days, by the way. That's like
I wanted to say 1,000, but I
Wow.
didn't think it was that much. But
yeah,
like,
it was an over 2-year reign. Like,
you have this reign. Like, are you going to turn around and or is your intention to do this the Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Diesel thing where the heavy turns on her and takes the belt off of Monet? Is that what you're going to do with this?
I'm not sure. I think the direction will probably be them breaking up. I don't know if she gets the title off of the TBS title has been so murky to me. I feel like the booking of it since Jade has been a bit murky. Like where you look at it a lot, it's either been short title reigns or it just hasn't been something that's really fulfilling. Like I thought Willow was the one who really took a step, but her reign was so short. And go ahead, what you gonna say?
You remember when we were on here, I said I want Willow to have a long reign, but I know she's going to be transitional because they put her against Monet. You're like, there's no way she's holding it. And then she went on a feud with Statlander, and Statlander's now going for the title. It's like, really? Willow's just moving on?
And I still think turning Statlander back to a babyface was the wrong call.
And Nightingale, to your point, I think is as big of a star as AEW has, whether it's men's or women's division.
Bigger than Statlander.
And think about how often we talk about her runs that didn't actually make it. It's like almost everybody that's like really, really tuned in sees the same thing.
So,
and I don't believe in that flirt, but like when it comes to Willow, like, man, is she consistently great?
We've given it a little bit of time now, and I think I can admit, I think Mercedes winning the belt wasn't needed for the belt. I don't think she needed the belt out the gate coming into AEW. I think she's big enough of a star where you could have had her had feuds with other people, and it could have just been that, and then she goes for the main title.
I will say, I think she wanted the belt.
I think that was when you look at it, they signed three big free agents.
She's got some of
them ended up with belts within a matter of
wanted the belt, which I don't blame her. Hey, go get yours.
It makes sense if you're elevating the belt. I don't think she's elevating the belt or herself. It's looking worse and worse the more she's out there with this.
It's kind of like a placeholder because the thing is, this Willow could I feel like we're obviously big Willow fans here, but that's a person you give a long title reign to.
Not by size, but by fandom.
That's the type of wrestler you allow to have a little bit of a title reign off of the sure fact that one, like you said, she's a beast. She's a strong, powerful wrestler, but she's also really good at telling stories with other people because that woman can cut a hell of a promo.
There's almost nobody more likable.
No,
she has
not at all.
When you can't write it factor like that, and it's interesting. I've found this in pro wrestling. There are certain performers that fit the babyface role or the heel role perfectly. Whatever it may be, it does not necessarily mean it's a reflection of their real life personality.
Yeah.
Willow has a bit of both, where she fits the babyface perfectly, but it also feels so genuine. Like if you aren't rooting for Willow and don't like Willow, that's a you problem.
Yes,
I always compare it to Bianca Belair. I think they have they're baby faces, but they're not cheesy.
Right. There's something just lovable about it all comes across as very genuine and very, and not only that, she wrestles as well as anybody.
Oh yeah.
As well as anybody, any division, any company, she wrestles as well.
Willow's one of those performers that, do I think she could pull off a heel? Probably, but I feel like in a lot of ways she's like Steamboat back in the day, where he was always a babyface. He was the forever babyface that everyone loved. Sting's all the same way. I know Sting had one brief heel run with the Main Event Mafia, but it never felt right.
Rey Mysterio.
It always felt forced. But, when you talk about Willow with the promos, she roasted Monet, that entire thing. And if the intention was to get Willow more over, they should have kept the belt on her. Because that built up, there was no reason to take
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's interesting, though. I do think that they avoided a situation where potentially for the first time we could see people getting sick of Willow being so likable as champ.
Yeah, but she didn't hold it long enough to even get to that point where that was even a threat.
No, I know, but that's the only thing that I agree. They did not. I agree. I can see the but if she holds it for a long time, is it still the same? Does the magic still? I almost want to say she's kind of a victim of her own success.
But to your point, Clark, look what's happened to Mercedes, though. It's not even getting heel heat. She's kind of just getting.
That's go home
heat. She's getting heat.
Yeah,
they're get out.
X-Pac heat.
We're tired of you type of heat.
Well, X-Pac heat's too extreme.
She's not getting heat for being a heel.
Forget how much everyone loved the 1 through 3 kid.
Yeah.
Not
during the X Factor phase.
It's a very good point. Okay, let's move on to one that we can talk about probably for the rest of the show. In fact, we're just going to go ahead and talk about it the rest of the show.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. First off, I'm just going to start this one off with Shelton Benjamin. What did you expect? If you've watched his entire career, this is different. He was the perfect AEW debut and still is. And I get some complaints about, this is too fast. Shelton shouldn't have lost to Swerve here. No, that match was off the charts. The match with Lio Rush, off the charts. All of that. But my very favorite thing from last night is how dang good at his job MVP is. The dude is out there. You can very clearly see he's making a real phone call. This isn't some, I can't see the screen isn't dark. He made a real phone call. Who was it to? Bobby freaking Lashley. Now we're talking. Okay. Who is more physically imposing than Bobby Lashley outside of Brock Lesnar? That's even a candidate in professional wrestling? I don't know. I can't name one. And I don't think Brock's more intimidating. I think it's equal. He gets a tie. Bobby debuting in AEW is so impactful, and I love the way that they did it. For the people that said that it was rushed, I hear ya. But let's be real. It's Bobby Lashley. Let's not forget how accomplished this dude is bell to bell. It's not just his WWE body of work. It's his TNA body of work. It's his MMA body of work. It's his military experience. It's his size, strength, and speed. This is one of the best performers in the business. Shoddy, business is booming. Is it not? They're back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We are so back. We are so back, my friend. My goodness. This was dope. This was definitely the highlight of the show. And that is saying it on a show where we got to see the new tag team champs crowned. Let's talk about the match first. First and foremost, Swerve Strickland, Shelton Benjamin, round of applause. Amazing match. Shelton Benjamin has found the fountain of youth in regards to kind of recreating or maybe just reminding people of what he can do in ring wise. I love this version of Shelton because it's a lot more physical. It's a lot more strong. He's showing his brute strength. He's really laying it in right there. The knee strikes, everything. It looks so great. And I think him and Swerve had an excellent main event match last night. Last time they wrestled was in the Indies. I think they said 6 or 7 years ago. So obviously Swerve, a lot more battle tested, a lot more honed in and grown to who he is as a professional wrestler, big of a star. It was a phenomenal match. And yeah, post-match, man, MVP making the call and the call being answered, delivered. We see Bobby Lashley And just the face off between Bobby Lashley and Swerve Strickland in the middle of the stage with everybody saying, holy ish, my goodness, that's just something that gets you as a professional wrestling fan super excited to see, man. I think this is a storyline that has an immense amount of potential to be something that can really lift AEW to a higher place within this next calendar year. Bobby Lashley is somebody that I feel like you were saying, he deserves a big amount of respect for what he's accomplished in the wrestling industry, but still what he can do. Like, he doesn't look bad. He was a world champion only a few years ago in the WWE. So this is something I'm excited for. And then one last thing, the Hurt Syndicate, the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business was one of the coolest factions during the pandemic time. They were something that was a hot commodity for the program. And the fact that, Vince took it away from us and then we never got to establish it again. Maybe it just got a little too far removed from it. But them coming back, it looked really, really good, man. And I love seeing MVP smile on his face. He looked genuinely so happy when Bobby came out. Like, that was just pure enjoyment. And I really hope that we, get to see them kind of, course correct what we didn't really get to see, especially in front of the fans.
To your point about the facial expression, that tickled me. I thought it was one of the moments of the night. It looked like, oh no, like the difference maker is here. Like, not that it took away from Shelton, because I look at this faction like the role that Shelton is on since he's debuted in AEW. We're looking at a faction for the first time in a long time where you can be like, are there two main eventers under MVPs?
I mean, Shelton is like, Shelton is without a doubt, from the 3 matches that he has so far, he can compete for a main event title. I wouldn't be mad, but like, I wouldn't be mad if he took one of those titles from Jack Perry or Okada in the next few months.
I have no issue with it. I mean, we forget this guy was the highlight of all of the Money in the Bank matches, and he's also probably the best technical wrestler that's ever competed in one of those outside of Brock when he got his boombox. But like, and they're roommates. Let's not forget that. Former roommates in Minnesota and all of that. But like, he's the most accomplished wrestler to ever be in those matches, and he was also the highlight athletically in spots we talk about Ricochet and Ospreay often.
Remember what I called him, bro? I say he's the Chris Bosh of the class of 2003 OVW class. We talk about LeBron, Wade, and Melo, which is Cena, Batista, and Brock. But like, Shelton established an all Hall of Fame career too.
Absolutely. Okay, so obviously, Anthony, I got to go to you now here. Heck of a match we saw last night between Swerve and Shelton, and then that debut of Bobby Lashley. What were your thoughts on it? And I mean, business, it's booming, is it not?
Shelton's one of those talents that he doesn't age. Like, if you look at him back when he debuted in WWE and look at him now, physically, he looks the same. In the ring, he is probably, of the current, from his generation of people, he is probably the greatest pure athlete and wrestler in the business to never hold a world title. I would hope that he's able to hold one before his career is out. If not, he joins the list of so many legends in this business that were never able to hold a world title. Obviously, you knew he was going to deliver with Swerve in the ring, which he did. Bobby Lashley, for me personally, I always felt that he had the look. But for me personally, I was never a huge Bobby fan because I feel like the promos were never really there. I thought in the ring he was good. I'm very much looking forward to his feud with Swerve because I think Swerve can get a lot out of him character-wise. And I think that is something that Bobby's always struggled with character-wise against his opponents. Like, his opponents, to me, always overshadowed him from memorability standpoint. Like, when you think about the Battle of the Billionaires, people think Umaga. before they would think. I feel like he's the fourth person people think of in
one
that
guy
match.
did, but we're not going to get political.
No. But I'm saying even then, I like Bobby, but like I never felt that he was the guy. Like I never felt that. I'm hoping the presentation and everything that they're doing, it kind of goes that direction, and we kind of see if he's a difference maker, see if he's a needle mover for the company, because obviously they need that. But I think a feud with Swerve could be really good. The question is, does Swerve get a stable to counteract this? He have something, because right now he's not.
In hindsight, by the way, now that you say it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Anthony, but like he had one.
Again, didn't think that all the way through. Did that? No, but I mean, really, they only need to fill one spot, because you figure Nana and MVP, and then you just need somebody against Shelton, which could be Leo Rush. Maybe that's where they'll stick Leo. I don't know. In this whole thing, or maybe they'll stick Ricochet with Swerve because of their history. They can go that route. I'm curious to see where it goes.
We got new friend of the show, Sean Ellis, and obviously legendary father, and that doesn't define you, Sean, my friend. But as far as Bobby does, or as far as Bobby goes, doesn't all rats someday? Whoa. Wait a minute, man. Don't be that negative about AEW.
Oh my God, I'm surprised you actually pulled that comment up.
I should have vetted that one before. Let's go to a tame one. Megan here is laughing. Oh, the costumes. Thank you. I went for Tony D. It was the best I could do on short notice.
Look, hold up. Let me address Sean Ellis real quick. What do you want them to do? They were either released or they were chosen not to be re-signed. So what do you want them to do? Like, honestly, like, do you just not want them to work? Like,
they weren't getting used. So what did you want them to re-sign to sit in catering? Is that what you wanted? Or
yeah,
they're going to have an opportunity, sink or swim. They're getting the opportunity that they were looking for. Whether it works, we'll find out. Right now, it was a compelling last image to last night's show.
Oh, get out of here. Retire. Get out of here.
I was right back.
That's some all-time hating stuff. No disrespect,
that's
dude.
Also
but
one of those, like, unless you've got one of the gnarliest single legs in the world and you're over 240 pounds, that is something you would not say to Bobby. I think he's pretty square athletically when it comes to that. And
Shelton Benjamin wrestles better than a lot of guys on that roster from the first three matches. He ain't too old for nothing.
I think this was one of the most positive parts about this is
and Jericho.
Shelton Benjamin got taken for granted for years. There's really no debating that. He absolutely got taken for granted.
Mm-hmm.
I think this for him is the coolest part about this, because he really does deserve it. We all know who he is. We all know what he represents. We all know what he's about, and having a unique opportunity that didn't exist during what many would consider the prime of his career.
Mm-hmm.
At this stage, to be able to accomplish things like he has in the mere month and a half, 2 months he's been in the company, I think that makes it worth it, and that would be the defense rests when it comes to AEW.
One thing though, too, people forget Shelton and Bobby were let go before Bobby went to TNA Impact. I thought he did a hell of a job. Shelton went to New Japan, went to ROH. Him and Charlie Haas were in Ring of Honor for a little bit. Did a hell of a job. Like, they've shown that they can do good outside of WWE.
Sean got pigeonholed in that.
Even Sean, by the way, admitted that Shelton should have been world champion in WWE.
Sean got pigeonholed in the good hand category in his career. As far as Lashley leaving WWE previously, if I'm remembering correctly, he quit and left, and then pursued MMA and then eventually TNA because his girlfriend or wife at the time got released by WWE, so he quit in protest. I don't even know if he's still with her, but that was the original exit from the company. So he's bet on himself before. So
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not only that, the guy went, to your point, during that stage, went and fought in MMA and won a bunch of fights. Like, he was arguably at one time the best heavyweight not signed by the UFC outside of Fedor and Emelianenko, but we're not going to get into an MMA conversation, especially 45 minutes into the show. That's actually going to bring us to the end of the show. We really appreciate everybody that's tuned in. If you haven't smashed like and subscribe, please do. It means the world to us. Thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of me, poorly dressed as Tony D'Angelo, on behalf of Anthony, excellently dressed as El Generico, and Shad, excellently dressed as Pikachu. Unless that's Raichu, I don't know, dude.
Nah, it's Pikachu. It's Pikachu.
It's Pikachu. I knew it was Pikachu. Either way, it's not about that. Check it out tomorrow. This daylight savings thing's almost over, but we are an hour later. If you're over in the States, it's going to be 1 o'clock Pacific. That's going to be 4 o'clock in the East. That's, of course, going to be 9 p.m. UK and 10 a.m. for my friends in Hawaii. Thank you once again. Have an excellent Thursday. We appreciate y'all, and happy Halloween from all of us at Wrestling Republic. Absolutely. Have a good one. Enjoy and stay safe.